Hello everyone. Today we'll be bringing you a review of the Zebra G-301 retractable gelling pen, medium point 0.7 millimeters. This pen features a sleek stainless steel barrel and is part of Zebra's steel line of pens, pencils, and one highlighter. It features a non-slip textured grip, has a very strong, sturdy steel pocket clip. It is refillable, and it uses the Zebra JK refill. So, let's see how it writes. The grip portion does its job well in providing grip, but it isn't the most comfortable. Due to the thin barrel and the lack of any kind of actual comfort padding, I found it gets uncomfortable using this pen for more than a few minutes at a time. Also, the length of the pen is relatively short. This may cause some additional discomfort for some. The one thing I didn't like about it was the fact that the short barrel made the clip kind of almost right in my hand, so that was a little bit annoying too. When we look at the writing it did, the gelling did come out a little bit thicker than expected. That was both good and bad. The lines weren't quite as crisp as I would have hoped for, considering it's a 0.7 millimeter point, but they did look very full and dark and really stood out on the paper. We got pretty much zero skipping, and to my surprise, hardly any blobbing. The way the pen writes and the way the ink seems to just pour out, I thought blobbing was going to be a big issue, but it wound up only occurring really in a few sporadic instances. Kind of right here around these two curves, that's where it happens a lot of times when we do our writing here. We first put the pen back on the paper right here. And aside from that, there weren't any really other major blobs that we saw there. A very minor one right here, but they were much less frequent, and the amount of blobbing in each one was a lot less ink that was pooling up than expected. Let's see how it performs with a smear test. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. 4 seconds. And 5 seconds. So as you can see, from 1 to about 4 seconds, we did get a bit of smearing. By 5 seconds, it had trailed off a little bit. It came out a little bit heavier kind of at the top of the curves there, which made the smearing a little bit worse. if you do get it to come out, a little more consistently, by about 3 seconds we would have seen pretty much the ink being, the smearing, the heavy smearing at least, being pretty much done, and the ink by about 5 seconds would be, I'd say, 90 to 95% dry. Bleed through essentially non-existent, which was also a welcome surprise. The fact that the ink, seemed to pour out a little bit heavy, I did think that bleed through was going to be a little bit of an issue, but as we saw with the blobbing being very minor also, it made bleed through essentially not even an issue and not even present. Let's take a look here to see how it did in some writing we did prior. You'll notice much more the same. We got almost the exact same instances of blobbing in the same spots, right around these two curves here, right when we put the pen back on the paper here. And aside from that, blobbing really wasn't present at all. So it did perform very consistently in the fact that the blobbing was sporadic and pretty minor. We pretty much got the same full dark lines, not quite as fine as we had hoped, so not quite as crisp, but it does look really good in the paper. The ink is very dark and really stands out. Smearing did a little bit better. This smear test, this first one we did, definitely did exceed my expectations. It was predominant up until only about 3 seconds, and after that it trailed off to very minor levels. Essentially, if you do get a blob of ink, you're going to have to wait closer to in the 5 to 10 second range for it to completely dry. If you don't get any blobs or any heavy ink coming out, by about 4 to 5 seconds, you're going to have the ink being just about dry and very little chance of any smearing. Bleed through again, just about non-existent. So, overall the pen performs very well. Its biggest disadvantages are the fact that thin barrel, short barrel, and lack of any real, comfort grip portion to, really make it feel comfortable in your hand does lead to a good bit of straining over time. And if you're really going to use this pen for any kind of extended period, it will get uncomfortable. But the ink does write very well. I really like this gel ink. It comes out a little bit on the heavy side, but it's very dark. It really stands out on the paper, and blobbing, skipping, bleed through were all extremely minor to the point where they're essentially not even an issue at all. So that's about it. Thanks for watching.